We're going to go on a bit of an archaeological dig today. But here's the twist. We're not heading to some remote, dusty ruin. Nope. We're going right into the heart of one of the busiest cities in the world to uncover a lost kingdom that's been hiding in plain sight for 1,000 years.
Okay, so picture this, Mumbai. You know what it's like, a city of skyscrapers, endless traffic, just this relentless energy. It feels so modern, right? A place that always seems to be building its future, sometimes by erasing its past.
But what if I told you that's not the whole story? What if, scattered right in the middle of all that chaos, there are these quiet, peaceful spots that are actually gateways to a forgotten empire? A secret history, literally right under our feet.
To find this secret, you don't even need a special map. You gotta look a little closer. Because if you live in Mumbai or you've ever visited, I bet you've walked right past these clues 100 times without even realizing it.
I mean, think about these places. The famous Walkeshwar Temple Complex, the legendary Banganga Tank, the revered Kopineshwar Mandir out in Thane, or that incredible Shiv Mandir in Ambarnath. Yeah, they feel ancient for sure, but just how ancient are we talking?
So who actually built these incredible landmarks? I'll give you a hint. It wasn't the British, or the Marathas, or even the Sultanates. No, the answer takes us back over 1,000 years, to a time when Mumbai wasn't a city at all, just a scattering of 7 islands. And this is where our investigation uncovers a name that's been almost entirely lost to history, the Shilaharas.
So, the Shilaharas were this royal dynasty, originally of Kannadiga origin, who controlled the Konkan coast, the very land Mumbai sits on today. And they weren't just some minor little power either. They were a major regional force for centuries.
Just look at this timeline. They ruled the North Konkan region for over 400 years. Now, to put that into perspective, that's almost double the entire history of the United States. A 400-year-old kingdom, and most of us have never even heard their name. It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
And they were prolific builders. They governed this huge network of over 1,400 villages, from their capital out near Thane. They were huge patrons of art and religion, building the very temples and tanks that would end up outliving them by a millennium. They really, truly shaped the cultural landscape of this whole area.
But to really connect this dynasty to places like the Banganga Tank, we need to zoom in on one specific and pretty visionary king. Let me introduce you to King Chittaraja. He ruled the North Konkan branch of the Shilaharas back in the 11th century, and, well, this guy had a real passion for building. King Chittaraja, he's the man responsible. He's the one who founded the Walkeshwar Temple and the Banganga Tank right next to it. And in the year 1060, he commissioned that breathtaking, intricately carved Shiv Mandir in Ambarnath. So yeah, all those ancient landmarks we started with, they are his direct legacy.
Okay, so that leads to the next big question, right? If this king and his dynasty were so important, so influential, why were they forgotten? Why aren't there statues of King Chittaraja all over Mumbai?
Well, first, let's get some context. The Shilaharas weren't building in a vacuum. The 11th century was this golden age of temple construction all across India. So while Chittaraja was busy in the west, you had other powerful dynasties, like the Somavamsis, putting up magnificent temples in modern-day Odisha. The point is, the Shilaharas were a huge part of this incredible cultural moment.
So their work was significant, even on a national scale. Which, just makes the mystery even deeper. How does a dynasty like that just vanish from public memory? The answer is, they were buried, not by dirt, but by history itself. Look at this succession of powers. After the Shilaharas fell, the region saw wave after wave of new rulers. The Yadavas, the Sultanates, the Portuguese, the Marathas, and finally, the British. Each new power built its own world, its own history, right on top of the old one, creating all these new layers that just obscured what came before.
And that brings us right back to today. Because once you know about the Shilaharas, you start seeing their world everywhere. It's like it's hiding in the DNA of modern Mumbai. We have to remember what this place actually was. It wasn't one single landmass. It was 7 islands. This quote from the Portuguese era describes a landscape of tidal flats and disconnected islands. The Shilahara structures were built on this archipelago, often on the higher ground of the islands themselves, which is probably one of the reasons they managed to survive all these centuries.
And this, to me, is the most incredible part. The legacy of this lost kingdom isn't locked away behind glass in a museum. It's alive. It's right there in the middle of the city. People are praying in these temples and gathering at these tanks every single day. This isn't a ruin. It's a living, breathing part of Mumbai.
The Banganga tank is over 1,000 years old. 1,000 years, and it's still in use. It is a direct, unbroken link to King Chittaraja and his forgotten world, sitting right there in the heart of Malabar Hill. It's just amazing. And all of this just makes you wonder, doesn't it? The story of the Shilaharas proves that our modern cities are like these giant historical novels, with entire chapters that have been erased or just written over. So maybe the next time you're walking down a familiar street, look a little closer. What other forgotten kingdoms and hidden histories are waiting to be discovered right under your feet?